I didn't go to a lot of places while I was in high school. But during my senior year, a trip was planned and I was going. It was a trip to the top of Blue Mountain, the highest peak in Jamaica. You may have heard of famous Blue Mountain coffee. It's grown in that region. Now, Blue Mountain is no Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro stands over 19,000 feet in the middle of Tanzania, whereas Blue Mountain is a mere 7,400 feet on the eastern end of Jamaica. During high school, we had teachers from all over the world. India, Australia, Canada, a few from the US, and from England. Although most of our teachers were Jamaicans, including our headmaster. Now, this next bit of information is quite relevant to my story. This high school trip was planned by two of our teachers who were two white women from England. Now, please reserve your judgment. This relatively simple bit of information is quite relevant to my story. The trip was, we should travel to a cottage that was halfway up the mountain, and then spend the night, and the next morning, 3 a.m., we would hike to the top, where we would be there before dawn to see the sunrise from down below. Sounds beautiful to me at the time. The day of the trip had arrived, and we were traveling in the back of two open lorries, Land Rovers, going up the side of the mountain to the cottage, up a gravelly dirt road. Somewhere along the line, a kid yelled out that the front wheels were lifting off the ground and the vehicle was going to overturn. Of course, that's not exactly how the kid said it. It was more like, the front wheel a lift up and it's going to turn over. Of course, with a lot more hysteria added. That made the rest of us hysterical, so we insisted that the driver stop. Most of us got off and leisurely walked the rest of the way to the cottage. Upon arriving at the cottage, it was quaint, unremarkable. The color of weathered wood, with a wraparound porch. The grounds were green, surroundings lush, but not particularly manicured. I didn't mind. I was just happy to be away from home. The next order of the day was dinner. Now, dinner was to be prepared by the adults, and we were told that we should simply wait, and our help was not required. Now, we facetiously looked at each other, thinking this is going to be good, because this is the first part of the story where I have to remind you that dinner was about to be prepared by the two white women from England, who had been on the island only since the start of the school year, and they were now going to be making dinner for about 20 Jamaican teenagers with quite seasoned palates. Dinner was served, we got our plates, we went outside and sat on the grass to have our dinner. It was rice with chicken, stewed, on top. We made a name for it, we call it pie putt. Now, by then we were quite hungry, so we did eat some of it, but a good portion of the meal was buried in trenches dug around the base of much of the shrubs on the property. Of course, we did not allow our teachers to see us do this. We were quite respectful, but we did make a song about the meal, and the refrain was, just give me the rice with a pot, pan the top, something like that. And then it was 3 a.m. We were dressed and ready for the hike to the top. We were to walk single file along what I assumed to be a narrow path, considering I couldn't see it. The person in front had a flashlight, so did the one in the rear. And as we were walking along, I could hear the chatter from the people in front. And then somewhere along the line, I would recognize the same familiar voices just above my head, going in the opposite direction. And then the pattern continued. And I then later learned that the path had been forged by a river meandering down the side of the mountain. And then we got to the top. And we were freezing. We were freezing. We hovered together for warmth. Now, this is the second time in the story when I have to remind you that this trip had been arranged by two white women from England who did not give it a thought that these Jamaican teenagers could not have tolerated or appreciated temperatures below 70 degrees. Now this was in the 1970s. Polyester reigned supreme. And that's what we were all wearing, one layer. I have no recollection of the sunrise. I have no recollection of descending that mountain. I do, however, remember how very, very cold I was, how bland that dinner had been, and the two lovely white ladies from England. So now, on my bucket list is a return trip to the top of Blue Mountain. Emmanuel, let's make that happen.
Yeah, man.